Kicking off the list at number 10, glyphosate. We'll start this wacky list off with perhaps one of the coolest things that I've seen online. Also one of the weirdest things for sure. This was posted by Reddit user Thunderbolt, and it was in tons of communities. I've seen this video pop up numerous places. The internet knows me so well. It looks otherworldly. I thought this video was in slow-mo. Nope. Take a look. I had to watch it a few times. This looks like it's in slow motion, but when the camera moves away, that's clearly not the case. So what's going on here? What am I looking at? What in the avatar is going on? This is turbulent flow, and the speed matches that of the camera's shutters. It's kind of like footage of a helicopter. You know, sometimes it'll fly through the air and it looks like it's just still, just doing this. It's the weirdest thing ever. Really, it's the propellers that are matching the camera's shutter speeds. It's odd, but in this case, it's really odd. Imagine sending this to your boss to check in at work. Yeah, the ectoplasm's in slow-mo again, so it's gonna be a while. Send. Number 9, player 2 has entered. I saw this video again a while back online, as I spend most of my time on Reddit after midnight, you know, as do the rest of us. And for months now, nobody can figure out what is happening in this video. Take a look. Was he running beside the truck? How did he just appear? Was he hanging onto the side of the truck like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible? How is he so calm, cool, and collect? He waits a second after the truck pulls away. He waits a second, almost as if he's still loading. Maybe some other dimensions going on here. People are saying it's an edit, others are saying the van door was open, and then others are arguing in the comments about which doors belong on which vans. Then there's also an argument about wheels and doors, but I think that's something that's separate, that's totally separate. Whichever universe this man came from, welcome, first of all, and you've caused so many headaches already, so great start. Number 8, too many beetles. Before you get grossed out, I don't mean that type of beetle, although that would be pretty bad as well. Gross. This video was shared to the lovely world of, you guessed it, Reddit. User H. Mumberto was having just a normal day, but there's like 6 of the same car that appear out of nowhere. There's the exact same Volkswagen Beetle, same color and everything. 2 are parked, one's driving into town, another's driving out of town, and one is lost. Can't figure out which town they're in. I hope they're filming a movie or something here because this is honestly pretty creepy. I would film this as well, for sure. This is like the Truman Show in real life. Oh God, that movie messed me up when I was younger. If this was me, I wouldn't be nearly as calm as whoever's filming this video. That's so many white beetles just around in one small area. That's like in GTA 5, when you get in one car, then all of a sudden every car around you is the exact same. You're like, what's going on here? It's trippy, it's very noticeable. I couldn't imagine seeing this in real life, so thank you for sharing. That being said, it's not bizarre for some places to manufacture the same model of a car, but this, I don't know, it's creepy. This is like definitely a glitch in the Matrix. Number 7, 3 dogs. This is the most bizarre video I've seen in a while, straight up. This was almost number 1, but we get into more of the, you know, cosmic stuff for number 1, so, you know. Animals follow each other. This is a known fact in nature, but this right here is next level. At first I thought these were 3 cats, because, you know, cats are a bit more insane than dogs. You know, if I had to bet on which animal would run into a glass window 3 times in a row, I would probably say a cat. Cats are wild. They'll stare at nothing for like 42 minutes. Creepy, I don't like that. This video shows 3 dogs confusing the hell out of a staff. It looks like a clinic of some sorts or a hospital. One dog runs into the glass, it's okay, and it runs off. Another dog does the same thing, it's okay, runs off. And then in comes a 3rd dog, just to continue confusing the staff and myself watching this video. The fact that they're all the same color and size and hits the same window, I mean, something's going on here. This is actually crazy. Maybe it's one dog and he's just really, really fast. He's just doing laps. Number 6, the cold spot. Okay, getting more cosmic now into these dimensions and parallel universes. Okay, so strap in. In 2004, NASA's WMAP satellite saw one of the most mysterious and perhaps one of the most ominous findings in science history, the cold spot. And no, I don't mean your ex's heart. Nothing is colder than that. That's another list. We'll save that one. The cold spot is, for starters, massive. When the universe was created a good, 14 billion years ago, it left some cosmic microwave background for us to explore and, just live in. Specifically, this one really cold spot of radiation. While the rest of the universe expands and cools down over time in millions of years, this area has remained colder than any of the surrounding area, just radiation left over from the very beginning of our universe. Another theory by scientists is that this cold spot is a result of collision between 2 different universes, which is interesting. That's when things start to get a little mind-bendy. Could this spot be an icy cold doorway into another bubble universe, perhaps the first evidence that proves the multiverse theory, aside from the show Loki? Maybe. We'll have to see. Just gotta stick around and wait for something to happen. They have that collider that may or may not help, that I may or may not talk about later on. Number 5, the Milky Sea Phenomenon. I've seen this with my very own eyes, and if you get a chance to see bioluminescence in the ocean, do it. What an odd request. Everyone's like, okay, finally, it's about time. I'm gonna do it. The Milky Sea Phenomenon was first observed back in 1864. Captain Raphael Semez journaled it aboard his CSS Alabama, and he had no idea what the hell he was looking at. Even today, we don't fully understand how bioluminescence works in nature. So this captain obviously was shaken after seeing something like this. He wrote about passing from the deep blue waters into a patch of water so bright that it startled him. A startled explorer. Ah, yes, nothing worse than that. He wrote down his thoughts and feelings. Remember, this is 1864, long before the movie Avatar was out in theaters, so this is all new to human beings. Captain Raphael wrote, "The whole face of nature seemed to have changed. With a little stretch of the imagination, the CSS Alabama might have been conceived to be a phantom ship lit up by the sickly and unearthly glare of a phantom sea." That's what I'm gonna write down. What am I looking at? Guy thought he drifted into Pandora. That's quite the quote, Captain Semez. Thank you for sharing. All those years ago. I don't think he's watching this video. That's not an exaggeration either. This phenomenon is something out of a movie. It's so alien. Bioluminescence is part of the reason for this ghostly bright blue appearance, but sailors who have experienced this say there's something sinister about it as well, so who really knows? To this day, we don't fully understand how bioluminescence works, but it's continuing to grow and blow our minds. We just discovered a glowing shark recently. Yeah, just a new shark, a new glowy shark. That's what we're dealing with now, so this captain would be surprised if he saw what we have now. The Milky Sea Phenomenon can span around 100,000 square miles, so again, this one's pretty large. And it can last for a few nights, so I don't blame these sailors for getting spooked. In 2005, we got low orbit satellites to snap a pic of this phenomenon, and on a list of otherworldly dimensions, this is perhaps the most otherworldly event that happens on our planet. Number 4, Large Hadron Collider. We can't have a list on other dimensions and not talk about the Large Hadron Collider. This project is testing the laws of physics. We mentioned earlier the remnants left over from the Big Bang and all that. Well, scientists are currently trying to make another Big Bang. Well, a little bang. A smaller bang. Hopefully a smaller bang. This project was put in motion by CERN. They're trying to identify what dark matter is, seeing how, it makes up a lot of our universe, and the project also aims at trying to discover tiny black holes. And if you've seen Interstellar, this could mean a few things if done correctly. We could maybe open a door to a parallel universe. So us humans are like, you know what, let's try and smash some particles together, see what happens. So now we have a 16-mile long underground ring that blasts proton beams close to the speed of light, then they make them collide into each other, ideally creating a black hole. How fun for us. The project hasn't been successful yet, but when it is, I feel like we'll know. We'll have an idea, we'll have a feeling in our hearts, or we might turn into spaghetti instantly. We'll know something worked, or didn't, for that matter. Number 3, the Philadelphia experiment. Perhaps one of the most bizarre tales when it comes to other dimensions. And this one has credibility behind it too. It pops up in my Reddit a lot. The 1943 Philadelphia experiment. If you haven't heard of it, sorry, this is gonna upset you maybe. This World War II conspiracy theory takes place on the USS Eldridge, this destroyer-class ship, and they were conducting these secret experiments aboard this ship to gain power over naval warfare. One of these experiments was to create this technology that makes ships invisible. On radar. That's an important note. Invisible on radar, not like... But when the generators were fired up to try this, the hull apparently lit up with this green and blue light, then the ship actually disappeared. Invisible IRL, not just radar. It was then seen at a naval shipyard in Virginia before the same thing happened again, and then it appeared back in Philadelphia, apparently. This sounds intense as is, but when you hear about the crew on board, it gets pretty scary. Some, of course, went mad after the dimensional dip, while others had physical effects from the cosmic commute. Yeah, some haunting details in that one. Some dude's arm was like just in the wall or something. It was horrible. I can't even talk about it on YouTube. It's gross. Number 2, Tartarus. Okay, we're getting a bit historical in the other dimensions for this one now. Number 2 and 1, we're getting deep. Greek mythology, here we go. According to Greek mythology, I'm talking like way back in 700 BC, Tartarus was a deep abyss. A dungeon, really, full of, suffering and torture and everything bad that you can think of, just, probably in there. This place full of suffering, of course, resides in Hades. If you played the game Hades, you know exactly where I'm talking about. It's the second world. It's so hard. Hades is a realm where the dead go after their, time is run out. It doesn't mean that it's a fiery abyss per se, that's just where Tartarus comes in. Tartarus is where the underworld devil theme kicks in. Plato wrote about these souls of the dead and how they were judged, and after they, would have to cross a river of the dead and all that stuff. So that's definitely some other dimension stuff that we're talking about there when it comes to the religious history. If you weren't a great human being, you were of course judged as so, and subsequently you were sent to Tartarus. the bad place. In Greek poet Hesiod's Theogony, Tartarus was offspring of Aether and Gaia. They were the third of the primordial deities. Even Zeus mentioned this place in the Iliad. Zeus states that Tartarus is as far beneath Hades as heaven is high above earth. So that's a lot of dimensions. We're in the middle right now, which is nice. I want to stay here. I'm like, maybe. Definitely not. Here, we're good. And finally, number 1, Duat. The Egyptian afterlife. Yeah, we don't have photos of this one, but we have some really old art, which is almost more compelling. Otherwise known as the Fields of Reeds or Fields of Offering, Duat is a place ancient Egyptians believed came after life. In fact, they believed that life on Earth was just a mere fraction of an eternal life that we're meant to live. Not ending in death, but rather forever lasting in peace and harmony. Doesn't that sound great? We love that. They believed there was more to the body failing. You know, the soul must continue. It must go on. Somewhere. Born on Earth believing in the gods and the deities known as the Seven Hathors, once death did arrive, you're just entering another realm. But hopefully the gods have judged you so you can live in this paradise realm known as the Fields of Reeds. Not Duat. You want that one, definitely not the other one. The thing is, you don't just pass on and then enter this nice realm where you can drink wine and, two-step with your relatives. No, you have to earn your spot. You have to show the gods that you're a good human being. This paradise is just really a mirror image of your previous mortal life. So if you're not kind to others now, well, this field of dreams can easily turn into a field of eternal nightmares. Ancient Egyptians' beliefs in hell predates Jewish, Christian, and Islamic visions. The concept of hell in ancient Egypt predates the concept of hell in more of these modern religions, which is kind of baffling. With the god Osiris believed to be the lord of said underworld, we have the coffin texts and the Book of the Dead now to study up while we're still, living like lousy mortals. Maybe the Egyptians were onto something here. Maybe the sky really is an iron container of water for the gods. Maybe we have to earn our spot in this cosmos. I don't know. One way or another, there's definitely more than one dimension. Either cats or Egyptian afterlives. We're gonna see one of the two.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Snipe Eel. Now, I really don't understand how this is a real creature because it looks fake. The Snipe Eel is like a mix between a hummingbird with a tapeworm, which is a very interesting mix. It's unlike any creature I have ever seen before. Plus, this thing can grow as long as 4 feet. Imagine that, you're swimming in the ocean, all of a sudden you feel something tickling your feet, and it's this thing. No thank you. To make things creepier, this dude has its digestive system in its throat, and it has 750 vertebrae in its spine. That's way more than any other known organism. See how I said known organism? Because if this thing is real, then what else is out there in the ocean? In our 9th spot, we have the vampire squid. You know this thing is creepy already when its scientific name literally translates to the vampire squid from hell. Isn't that nice? Now what's weird is that this creature resembles both a squid and an octopus, but it's neither. This thing has 8 arms and 2 tentacles. Its arms are lined with spines that are arranged in 2 rows. What's also unique about this creature is its color, which can change depending where in the ocean they are. They also have the largest eyes in the entire animal kingdom, which is wild in comparison to the size of its body, and the eyes either look red or blue depending on the light. And lastly, these guys travel around by ejecting water from a hidden organ. That's kinda cool, it's got its own propeller system. In our 8th spot today we have the giant grenadier. Now this is a weird mix between a fish and an eel. It's got a fish's head, but like a long eel-like body. Although it looks pretty creepy, these things don't bite or sting. Now what's weird though is that they stink. These fish contain high levels of TMA, which is found in human urine, sweat, and in bad breath. And it's safe to say that no one likes the smell of any of that. But this thing reeks even more. It's like you combined pee, sweat, and BO all together. That's what this creature smells like. PU, no thank you. In our 7th spot we have the sarcastic fringe head. And don't be fooled by this guy's name, okay? It's not a fish with a bad or sassy attitude. That would be funny. But I will say these fish are highly aggressive. They are located in the Pacific waters off the coast of North America. Now what makes them so terrifying are their Demogorgon type flaps around their face that just open up to make them look intimidating. Either that or it kinda looks like the poison spitting dinosaur from Jurassic Park. Like if you agree. So what they like to do is hide out, and when their prey comes swimming by, they'll launch out and attack them. And they aren't picky. They will go after any and everything. In fact, there's one video of a fringe head swallowing a whole damn octopus. Yes, you heard me, an octopus. They have also been known to attack divers as well. So not only are their habits terrifying, but they also just look terrifying too. In our 6th spot, we have the Fanfin anglerfish. Now, anglerfish are undeniably creepy. In fact, they are considered one of the scariest sea creatures on Earth. Take a look at a picture of them and you'll see why. Now, there are different types of anglerfish. Today, let's talk about the Fanfin anglerfish. This thing has a massive jaw with tons of sharp teeth. Their mouth is so wide it extends all over the entire circumference of their head. These creatures are also covered in what looks like hair all over their body, but those are used to sense what is around them. Now, if you watched Finding Nemo, then you already know about this guy, okay? It's when Marlin and Dory just keep swimming, and then it gets darker, and then they see this thing glowing in the distance. Turns out it was part of the anglerfish, remember that scene? That's this fish. Now, they use this light or lure to attract fish, and then once they're near, they can scoop them up. What's wild is that they can swallow fish that are almost twice their size. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the deep sea lizardfish. I'm telling you, these creatures just keep getting weirder and weirder. Now, these things can be found at the depths of the ocean at 1,000 to 2,500 meters down. They're about 25 inches long and are a shiny blue color. Now, these things like to wait on the ocean floor until their dinner comes by, and when it's time, they open their jaws and snap out at them. In fact, lizardfish has hinged teeth, which means the more and more the prey resists and tries to escape, the further they'll just move down its throat. These things eat everything from coral to worms to fish to crustaceans. Some have been known to eat other members of their own species, so they have cannibal-like tendencies. In our 4th spot, we have the tardigrade. Now, this has to be one of the strangest creatures on the entire planet, and I'm not even kidding when I say that. So tardigrades, otherwise known as water bears or moss piglets, are these plump-looking creatures with 8 legs and hands with 48 claws on each. They live off of nutrients from plants and microorganisms. When they are feeding, their sharp teeth extend outwards, allowing them to suck out the nutrients. Now, here's why they're super weird. These things are almost indestructible. Not only can they survive in the ocean, but they can even survive in outer space. If an apocalypse happened, they would still be floating around in the ocean. One of the reasons why is that they can go up to 30 years without food or water, and they can survive in both absolute zero or above boiling temperatures. That is just wild to me, like they don't seem like real creatures. In our 3rd spot, we have the Deep Sea Blob. Again, how is this thing real? It's like a slab of slime with a human face on it. I kid you not, I have met people that look like that. So the sea blob can be found at around 2,800 meters down along the US West Coast. They are pinkish in color and can grow to be about 12 inches long. Now, what's weird is that they lack bones and teeth. I mean, that's why they're called a blob. And since they have low muscle mass, they don't actually move around much. So they just float along, and when they see food, they open their mouths and suck the food in, kinda like Kirby. Now, here is the most interesting part. Take a blobfish out of water and, it looks pretty creepy. Well, it's thought that when it's in water, it takes on a different appearance. But when out of water, they look weird because they don't have the water pressure to hold their shape. Moving on to number 2, we have the flying spaghetti monster. Now, the creature's real name is Bathyphysma conifer, which is a mouthful and I probably pronounced it wrong, so people like to just call it the flying spaghetti monster due to its appearance. The thing appears to have a noodly type tentacles. This thing was first spotted off the coast of Angola in 2015 by workers at BP. They were taking footage underwater when they managed to capture this thing on film. Immediately, they called it the flying spaghetti monster as it reminded them of the deity of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. But apparently it's not just a singular organism, but a bunch of them fused together. It's a really strange creature. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the super giant shrimp. In 2011, a group of scientists were exploring the Kermadec Trench off the northeast coast of New Zealand when they came across this giant shrimp known as the supergiant. That same year, 6 other giant shrimp were found. The largest one was 34 centimeters, or 13 inches. Excuse me? No, shrimp are tiny. These things must have come from a universe where big creatures are small and small creatures are big, like in the movie Journey to the Center of the Earth 2. To this date, one of the biggest shrimp ever caught was 18 inches, which is 45 centimeters, which is massive. Starting off this countdown, we have the Ultra Blackfish. There are a couple of ultra blackfish that are so dark that they are almost invisible. At least 16 species of these fish have specialized skin, which makes them almost impossible to detect. Their skin is so unique that they absorb 99.95% of all photons. This makes them blacker than black. Even under a harsh spotlight, these creatures appear as mere silhouettes. That's why it's also so hard to capture a photo of them. One scientist said, and I quote, "It didn't matter how you set up the camera or lighting, they just sucked up all the light." So in a way, these fish have a cloak of invisibility, and that's why it's so easy for them to sneak up on their prey. With features like this, it literally makes them seem like they came from another universe. In our 9th spot today, we have the brittle star. For this one, I want to take a look at one brittle star in particular, and that's one that's named the Game of Thrones star. That's because its appendages look like the thorny crown found on the second Game of Thrones book cover, A Clash of Kings. Now, what's weird about these creatures is that they don't have any brains or eyes, yet they somehow know what they need to do in order to survive. Like, dude, it's literally a brainless organism wandering around the bottom of the ocean, and when fish get close to it, they reach out their tentacles and wrap them in a spiral and then eat them. Take a look at them. They literally look like creepy little brainless aliens. I refuse to believe that they're real. Like, I mean, obviously they are real, but like, that's a creature straight out of a horror film. In our 8th spot today, we have the black swallower. This is a deep sea fish with a big appetite, and it can handle more than it looks like it can. That's because it's slender in size, but its stomach can expand up to 10 times its original size. In fact, it can swallow big fish whole, and then the fish stays in their stomach, which gets stretched into transparency. In fact, sometimes their food starts rotting in their stomach before they even get to finish digesting it. No wonder it was given the name the swallower fish. Just look at that thing. In our 7th spot today, we have the Pacific Blackdragon. Now, this is one of the sea creatures that is considered to be ultra black, so it easily blends into the depths of the ocean where no light reaches. Now, this creature literally looks like an alien from Predator. Look at this! Look at its creepy beady eyes and sharp teeth and like long chin whiskers. It's undeniably creepy. Now, the males are small. They grow to be about 3 inches in length. Now, they're the weird ones. They have no teeth, no chin whisker thing, and no stomach. And since it has no stomach, it's unable to eat. Isn't that weird? It literally lives only long enough to mate, and then it dies. Now, the female black dragons are the scary ones. These ones can grow to about 2 feet. Yes, 2 feet. And they're the ones with the big fang-like teeth, and they have that whisker or barbel. At the end of that whisker thing, there's this little light that can turn on to attract prey. So fish swimming by are like, ooh, what's this glowy thing? I hope it tastes good. And then they go to eat it, and then the black dragon is like, psych, it's me, and then they gobble the fish whole. They also emit poison, which is very dangerous and deadly to their predators. I swear, this video is making me scared of the ocean now. In our 6th spot, we have the zombie worm. In another universe, we have worms that live in the ocean and devour bones. Just kidding, they're real, and these zombie worms are from our universe. Again, I really don't understand how they are real. So these worms are about 1 to 3 inches, so they aren't that big. However, they are very creepy. These tiny things like to devour great big whale bones, and their style of eating is pretty weird, especially since they don't have mouths or stomachs. So basically, they secrete an acid from their skin that is so strong that it can dissolve bones. This then breaks down the bone's fats and proteins from the inside, which they then digest. How delicious. Now, they don't just attack whale bones though. They'll tackle fish bones, even cow bones. I know what you're thinking, how are cows in the ocean? Well, sometimes cows or other animals get dumped into the ocean, so they'll take whatever they can get. That's not even the weirdest part, okay? The weirdest part is that the male zombie worms live inside the female ones. One study counted 111 males inside just one female zombie worm. Just one. Again, how is this real? Like, it literally sounds made up. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the hagfish, also known as slime eels. Even though They aren't eels. Now, these ones gross me out because they literally look like human intestines. But what's even more gross are their feeding habits. So basically, they consume other sea creatures by burrowing their way into them. Here's an image of them literally eating a dead shark. They literally create a massive tunnel into the creatures and eat them from the inside out. Ooh. But not only that, they secrete this slime to ward off predators. The slime is so sticky that it can clog the gills of its attackers. Take a look at this video of it repelling a shark. Like what? The shark literally went to chomp it and then it got deterred. And the hagfish was left unharmed somehow. Moving on to number 4, we have the three-eyed fish. Now, when this creature was discovered in 2011 by an Argentinian man, people went crazy. So he was out on a fishing trip with some friends when he caught this fish. A literal mutated three-eyed fish. Now, it's quite possible that you've heard of this fish before, because in The Simpsons there is a three-eyed fish known as Blinky. Bart fishes it up near the Springfield power plant in season 2 episode 4. So people were like, oh my god, The Simpsons predicted this fish. It was especially eerie since the fish was caught in a reservoir where a power plant pumps hot water from their facility and the water is pretty polluted. Honestly, anything with multiple eyes are not from this world. They're just not. In our third spot today, we have the mutant sea creature. In 2018, a strange looking sea creature was found floating along the shore of a beach in China. Everyone was like, what is that? And they were scared to go near it. I mean, it wasn't anything they had ever seen before, but one man wasn't afraid, so he actually went near it and picked it up. And that's when the animal started moving its head and limbs. This creature, who is not yet identified, has a human-like head with some sort of short stubby arms and legs. Theories range from a new species of sea life to a mutated starfish or a mutated sea sponge. What do you think it is though? Whatever it is, it's very creepy and alien-like. In our second spot today, we have the Goblin Shark. Now this is unlike any shark I have ever seen before, and that's because it has the weirdest face ever. Like, I'm sorry, but it doesn't look like a shark. That's what I imagine a human crossed with a shark would look like. So these creatures can grow 12 feet long and can weigh up to 460 pounds. It was thought that 13 feet was the biggest that they could grow to, but in 2000 they found a giant goblin shark that was 20 feet long. So now researchers say that they have no real idea about how big these creatures can truly get. Now this thing has one of the creepiest looking faces. It's got a super long nose with a weird Voldemort nostrils, pink flesh, making it look like it was skinned alive, and of course, look at its sharp teeth. But it gets worse. These sharks don't hunt their prey down. Instead, they wait for their prey to come to them. They're just chilling in the water, and once a fish gets close enough, they launch their jaws out and clamp down on them. Yeah, their top and bottom teeth are attached to ligaments, so they can reach out and extend its mouth to grab its prey. And its mouth can launch out to about 10.1 feet per second. And its mouth opens super wide. It can open at a 111 degrees angle. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the barrel eye fish. Now this fish literally has a see-through head. Not only that, but the thing that you see there, which looks like a brain, is not a brain. It's actually its eyes. Their eyes can rotate in all different directions. They can even look up to see above them through their see-through head. You guys are probably tired of me saying this, but how is this a real creature? I'm sorry, but this fish has a glowing see-through head. Like, that's not normal.